So does Tim Tebow really have a prayer of making the Philadelphia Eagles 53-man roster? We'll find out in a few days. But before then, let's give our predictions as to who will make the team. Mike Owens is here. I also have a special guest, but to him in a second because I do want to give a quick shout out. The Real Chip TV, really good channel. Make sure you guys check them out. And if you guys want to collaborate with us, let's do it. Check out their stuff. They're legit. On to my guest. Let me introduce you guys to Eagle Speed. I know he has his fair share of haters on YouTube, mostly Cowboys fans, but the guy knows his Eagles. He spits the truth. And you know what? Generating a reaction is better than no reaction, whether it's positive or negative. So Eagle Speed, welcome to the show, and make sure you guys check out his channel too. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Yeah, so Mike, we're closing down. It's roster time. We're getting there. Last preseason game is tonight, and Kiko's playing.
Yeah, finally. We finally get to see, the linebacker, the star linebacker that we got in the LaShawn McCoy trade. We were hoping to see him last week, but and he was the first one on the practice field there in Green Bay, but things didn't work out. Something happened, some tendonitis kicked in, so he wasn't able to play. Let's hope that the same thing doesn't happen tonight, but he should be able to go tonight. Everything looks good, and, it's going to be fun to see him out there, and, hopefully he's the Kiko from 2 years ago.
Yeah, he needs to get some playing time before playing against Atlanta, that's for sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm excited to see him, too. I think he's going to be an important piece, and this front seven is going to be elite this year.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Our front seven is disgustingly awesome. It is sexy. Just stud muffins all around. All right, so let's get on to our roster predictions because I'm sure everybody wants to know if Tim Tebow is going to make this football team. Honestly, the third stringer, it doesn't really matter, but he's got this cult following with him. So let's get to it. We know Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez, they're going to make the team. But is it Tebow or Barkley? Let's start with Eagle Speed. Who you got?
I would want Matt Barkley to make the team because I think he has a better pocket presence. I think he reads the field. I think his mechanics are better, and he just has more experience in the system. Tim Tebow, I think he's more of a wild card player. Like, he can run the option and do the things that Chip likes, but if he would have converted those 2-point conversions, I would have been more on his side, but I just think Matt Barkley's just a wiser decision. That's just my opinion.
Mike?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Barkley, he's definitely a better passer and has a better mechanics, but obviously I think that, Chip, he's got a hard-on for this whole Tebow thing. And also, once they keep Tebow, the merchandise sales at the link are just going to skyrocket. Everybody is going to be going and getting their Tebow jerseys. So, Tebow mania is going to be in full effect. But, really this whole thing doesn't matter. We're talking about a third-string quarterback here. So, even if we ever have to get down to our third-string quarterback, then, we're in big trouble. So, I'll say Tebow, but, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of with both of you guys. I think Barkley's the better quarterback, but Tebow's the gadget, and Chip's got too much pride to cut him. He's the one that brought him in. He took all the heat for it, the whole media circus thing, so I think Tebow's on this roster. But I'll tell you what, when I saw the 2-point conversions last week, I brought this up on our last show. I see the first play call. I'm like, well, I'd rather have DeMarco Murray run the draw. And then you see the second play, and you're like, well, I'd rather see Bradford throw the slant.
Yeah, if Bradford and Murray are on the field of that situation, the run isn't so predictable because Bradford could throw and there's receivers on the field. If Tebow is on the field, that quarterback draw is about as obvious as it gets as a play call. So, I think Barkley should make the team, and that's what I think. But what Chip thinks, I think Tebow will make the team. That's just how it is for me.
Yeah. Mike, do you have any quick thoughts on that?
Yeah, Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, with this whole thing with trying Tebow with the 2 point conversion, I don't think it's going to work out too well because like you guys were saying, it's a obvious, really, running situation with Tebow there. So teams are going to know what's coming. So yeah, I would rather have Bradford, Murray, Matthews, or Sproles out there for a 2 point conversion. Really, what I've said all along, what the Eagles should do is they should have Tebow as a mascot, and if they ever get into an emergency situation, he can take off the swoop outfit and go out there on the field and play.
Oh, man. Going to this real quick, Barkley really had a chance to possibly be trade bait. Had a first good, his first preseason game was really good. It's probably the best I've seen him look as an Eagle. But the last 2 games, not so hot, and unfortunately, you can't even get a basket of footballs for him at this point.
No, you can't. Well, I mean, he's going to get cut from the Eagles, and, let's be honest. He's going to go back to California, and he's going to be sitting on the beach with his babe. So I don't think Barkley is going to be missing out on this opportunity.
Yeah, he could go with San Francisco. I mean, Colin Kaepernick isn't a for sure thing. And, of course, the Jets with the whole Geno Smith situation, he'd be going there, too. That's what I think.
Yeah, I was hoping we could maybe pry like a 6th or 7th round pick for him. Maybe somebody would be dumb enough to do it, but not going to happen. Not going to happen. So there's that. There's also been some speculation that the Eagles might only keep 2 quarterbacks, which I think is asinine. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, Chip Kelly's all like Bill Belichick, right? That's what they say. I mean, that's what Belichick does. But I think you can't take the risk. I mean, if you take 2 quarterbacks, where's the extra player going to go? And how is that going to impact our team much anyway? So I'm all for keeping 3 quarterbacks rather than 2 because you have to have the insurance at quarterback because that's such a crucial position. And to have one backup player otherwhere else that's probably not going to play, it's just not worth it for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if they had a starting quarterback without a injury pass, then maybe you would think about it. But yeah, with Bradford as a starting quarterback, they can't afford to go in with 2 quarterbacks. I think it's 100% they have to go in with 3.
Yeah, Tom Brady never gets hurt, so it's easy to keep only 2 in New England. But here, Bradford, I mean, he's probably going to get hurt at some point this season. He'll miss a few games. You can't have only 2 guys. You just can't do it. All right, moving on to the running backs now. Coming into the camp, coming into the preseason, you would have thought that 3 guys, Ryan Matthews, Darren Sproles, DeMarco Murray, those were going to be the 3. But Kenyon Barner has really shined with his punt return skills, his kick return skills. So is he on your guys' roster?
Yeah, absolutely for me. And, I mean, if Chip Kelly kept 4 tight ends last year, I could definitely see him keeping 4 running backs. I mean, it's nice to have depth returning kicks because when you think about it, Sproles can return, Kenyon Barner can return, Josh Huff can return, heck, probably even Nelson Aguilar could return. So I think having that depth there would be nice. Kenyon Barner, he's from Oregon. He knows the scheme. He knows the running attack. And I think we're going to keep 4 running backs on the roster this year rather than 4 tight ends.
Yeah, I agree again. I think that this is really a no-brainer. With how Barner has performed here in the preseason, I mean, the guy's returned, 2 punts for a touchdown. He's really shined in the running game too. He's really got a quick burst. He's kind of like a bigger version of Darren Sproles. So maybe he's a guy that they can look for in the future to replace Sproles when he's done. So I think that they have to keep Barnier. And I think that what they're going to do this year is they're going to flip flop. They're going to go with 4 running backs, and then they're going to go with 3 tight ends this year.
Yeah. So far, we're all 7 for 7. We all got the same guys on our team so far. I forgot to mention Jeremy. Unfortunately, he couldn't make the show today. But he's got Tim Tebow on his team and the four guys that we just mentioned at running back. But, Raheem Mostert has been, wow, he's been amazing too. And we talked about this pre-show. The Eagles have 5 running backs that are all better than anything Dallas has right now.
It's fact, yeah. And more versatile, too. I mean, if we cut Raheem Mostert, they should pick him up because not only he's a runner, but he can receive, too. That's something that Dallas doesn't have either as a receiving running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a three-headed attack here in Philadelphia, and that's the Cowboys are try to go with a three-headed attack too. Well, I mean, our three-headed monster right now is way ahead of theirs. So, if a guy like Mostert is going to have to be cut by the Eagles, then the Cowboys should definitely look into it because this guy he could really be a stud. He's showed a lot here in the preseason.
Yeah, he's very speedy in space. He's got a good little burst to him. Like Eagle Speed said, he can really catch the ball out of the backfield too. I mean, he's no slouch. He's pretty legit. I mean, he'd probably make a lot of teams. Unfortunately, there's just so much depth here that he's just not going to make it. So there's that. Moving on to the receivers, we'd probably say Sage Tutu is probably a lock because of special teams. You got Josh Huff, you got Riley Cooper, unfortunately. You have Nelson Aguilar, and you have, who am I missing? Jordan Matthews. So there's 5 guys. So does Miles Austin make this team? I know Rasheed Bailey is the local product that everybody's rooting for. He's catching everything. But I've got Miles Austin on my team and Bailey making the practice squad. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I have Jordan Matthews as my number 1. Like, I'm just gonna rank. I think Nelson Aguilar is our second best receiver on the team, so I think Matthews and Aguilar are number 1 and number 2. I would then probably have Miles Austin, then Josh Huff, Riley Cooper 5th, and Jeff Mayle, Rasheed Bailey. Throw whatever you want in there for me, but I mean, if it were for me, I would have Riley Cooper not on the team and rather have Jeff Mayle and Rasheed Bailey on the team, but that's probably not going to happen, but that's how I see it.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, this was a kind of a tough one for me with the Miles Austin situation because at first I had him on the team, then I had him off, then I had him on. He's a guy that haven't really seen too much of him here in the preseason. He's done a few things. I kept him on just because I think that the Eagles really like him as a veteran presence on the team, and I think that Bailey, he's still very raw, and I think he's a guy that they would like to develop for a little bit here. So I think you're going to end up seeing, Bailey on the practice squad.
Yeah, he's like that perfect practice squad kind of guy, and you know what? Great for him to even make the practice squad. That you still make what $100,000-$200,000 for being on the practice squad, so. Still got to make his money, and great story. Local product, him making the practice squad. So
Miles had that great catch against the Colts where he redirected the ball and caught it too. So veteran receivers do have that kind of experience.
Yep, Stone Cold Miles Austin. He's gonna be an Eagle. Jesus Christ, who would have thought a couple years ago? All right, I think Jeremy had Austin on his team, so and with Sage here too, was his 6th guy.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, moving tight ends. I think this one's pretty easy. Zach Ertz, Brent Selleck, and Trey Burton. Trey Burton's really had a great preseason, I think.
Great special
team last week.
He's an awesome special teamer. That's a steal in undrafted rounds.
Yeah.
When you think about it, we hit a gold mine there.
Yeah, really like Trey Burton. This is a guy that you only saw him on special teams really last year, but from what you can see in the preseason, I know that Zach Ertz has been out, but I think he's a guy that you could maybe see them try to work into the offense a little bit. He's really developed here, so I like Burton, and maybe expect a touchdown catch or two from him this season.
Mm. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Go ahead.
he definitely has the athleticism. Like, I mean, there'll probably be times where Zach Ertz and Trey Burton are on the field, and Brent Selleck is out sometimes. And I think a lot of teams, like our rival teams, like the Giants and Cowboys, that struggle at coverage linebacker, could have their fits covering Ertz and Trey Burton. That's just
And Ertz is going to see the field a lot more this year, because last season with our offensive line going down, they had to keep Selleck in there to pass protect and all that stuff, an extra lineman. So I know a lot of people, a lot of Eagles fans were complaining that Ertz didn't see the field that much. Well, that was the reason why. But this year with a healthy O-line, as long as everyone stays healthy, he's going to get his receptions, and this will be his breakout season.
Yeah, you know that Ertz is my boy, so I can't wait for him to hit the field. So hopefully he's ready to go for week 1 with that groin injury, whatever he has going on there. But
yeah. Zach Ertz was in that money draft with Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz, and Benny Logan as our first 3 picks.
Oh,
that's money.
Benny Logan. Oh, we'll get to him in a bit. Oh boy, he's eating people. He's been eating people. He's going to be a stud this year. Stud muffin. Offensive line. Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, Jason Kelsey. We knew those were the studs coming into training camp preseason. The guard spots were not solidified. But right now, it looks like they might be okay with Alan Barbary and Andrew Gardner. So we have a solid starting core there. We'll get into who we have as our backups, but let's talk about the guard spot. They might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Barber, they're high on him. He had a really good game against Green Bay 2 years ago where he handled Clay Matthews with ease. And he's a great run blocker. He has that physical mindset at guard. And I think it should be no problem with him with Jason Peters or Jason Kelsey every play. And Andrew Gardner I think he's just developed. Because this is what's nice about Philly is that all of our backups have starting experience. So I think Andrew Gardner, just with time, has just improved. And he's definitely surprised me.
Yeah, he surprised all of us.
Yeah, Barbary was the guy that, I think was kind of the solid position there at the left guard spot. The right guard spot was really where we had concerns. And, with Andrew Gardner, really making a big leap here, playing really well compared to last year, is really huge for this offensive line because, those guard spots were a concern going into training camp, but now I don't think it's a concern at all. I think that their offensive line, barring any health issues, I think that they're good to go.
Yeah, they're a top 5 unit in the league. Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Yeah, and I think, David Molk, he has the athleticism to play center. Matt Tobin, Julian Vandervelde, Dennis Kelly, they all have starting experience. So, if for 2 games one of them has to come in, I don't think it would hurt us much, honestly, because they all have starting experience.
Yeah, the guy that I think's had a pretty good preseason, he's been playing tackle, Matt Tobin. I've been surprised by him. I think he's been looking good. He makes my roster. Molk makes my roster, and the other guy is John Moffitt, and it'll be interesting to see what they do because he's been horrible. He's been really, really bad. So are they going to take a chance on him as to possibly improving and shaking the rust off as the season goes along? We'll see. Who are you going to take?
Vandervelde.
You would take Vandervelde?
Yeah, I'll take Vandervelde just because, he may just be as bad, but he's just been on this team and has more experience. That's how I think I'd take Vandervelde over him.
And then you got Tobin and Molk.
Yeah.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting because Vandervelde is a guy who I had on my roster here until this morning, and then I made a switch. I do like Vandervelde a lot. He's a guy who's had experience with the Eagles. He's been on the practice squad. So I wanted to put him on the team, but I went with Moffitt instead, in addition to Tobin and Mulk. And I went with Moffitt because, assuming that the offensive line stays healthy, I think what they're hoping with Moffitt is he's a guy who's had experience in the league, with a winning team too. So they're hoping that as the season goes along, hopefully he can get back up to speed and get back to his old self. So that's why I went with Moffitt, kind of for the veteran experience there.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. But I agree with Eagle speed. Vandervelde is a better player right now, no doubt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jeremy had David Mulk, Matt Tobin, Dennis Kelly. Those were his 3 backups. So moving on, defensive line. I want to start with Benny Logan because I don't know if anybody in the preseason right now, besides maybe Bradford because he was so outstanding last game, but he's had the best preseason of any Eagles player so far, I think. And the third year is when you're supposed to take the leap from, say, the very good to say, elite status. He's looking like an elite nose tackle right now.
The defensive line is my favorite part of the team, honestly. I mean, I got my Fletcher Cox jersey on right now. I mean, what makes them great is not only their size but their athleticism, so they can hold 2 guys. And that's why I think Kiko Alonso will just come into those holes and just blow everything up. Michael Kendricks, very good speed. And once the defensive line, Thornton, all of them hold their gaps, very few teams will run the ball consistently on us. Very few. I'm very excited with the D. And I think it's the best part of our team, just the D-line front 7 in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this front 7 and the D line, that'll definitely get you excited here in Philadelphia because they've got one of the best front 7s in the game, and they arguably have the best D line in the entire game. So Benny Logan, if he can really explode here this year and have a breakout year, and play alongside Fletcher Cox and Cedric Thornton, I mean, you can really expect some big things for this defensive line.
And the athleticism of these guys. I mean, Benny Logan is a sideline-to-sideline nose tackle. You don't see that many of those guys. He's outstanding.
Fletcher Cox can take off and run, too. I mean, it's a very athletic defensive front.
Yeah. Cedric Thornton stuffs the run. All 3 of them, man. I call him Cedric the non-entertainer because he doesn't do anything fancy or sexy, but he's a really, really good football player.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is, we talk about Benny Logan, but then even his backup, Bo Allen, this is a guy that we talked about last year. Now he's going into another season here with the Eagles. He's got another year under his belt, and he's a guy who actually played a decent amount last year, and I expect to see his reps to increase.
Yeah, that's a steal for a 7th-round draft pick. Not a lot of 7th-round draft picks even contribute the way that Bo Allen does. And, I mean, Brandon Bear, Taylor Hart, Joe Kruger, I love the defensive line depth is awesome.
I have yet to see anybody push Bo Allen backwards. That man is country strong. I mean, Wisconsin man. Dude, I like him a lot. He could start for a lot of teams, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, the Giants could use him.
Yeah.
To run stuff up the middle.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. And even like we mentioned those names, Brandon Bear and Taylor Hart. They've taken a huge leap forward during the preseason. Those guys have been outstanding.
Yeah, they really have. They've both put on some weight. Brandon Bear is a guy that has really stood out along that defensive line. So, expect to see some things from Brandon Bear this year.
Yeah. All right, so my D linemen, the same as Jeremy, so I'll just run them off. Fletcher Cox, Benny Logan, Cedric Thornton, Vinny Curry, Brandon Bear, Bo Allen, Taylor Hart. Those are my 7.
Yep, that's who I had too.
Yep, same here.
All right, see, we all think alike. We're the best. All right, linebackers. This should be interesting. Outside linebacker is the one where depth is a little bit scarce. Marcus Smith is an interesting name. I mean, there's been some. I know Elliott Shore-Parks has speculated that maybe he won't make the team. I think he will, but it may not be as much of a lock as some people think. But I think he's on this roster. I think Brian Brayman is on this roster. I mean, he's outstanding on special teams, obviously, but he's looked really good as an outside linebacker in preseason too.
I mean, if we cut Marcus Smith, that's a shame considering he was a first-round pick 2 years ago. I mean, but yeah, the way I see it, I'd have Barwin and Graham, of course, as the starters, and I would have Brian Brayman and Marcus Smith filling behind them. There is not much depth there, and even if Marcus Smith does get injured, if we have Vinny Curry and Connor Barwin as the two linebackers rushing the passer, I'm not concerned by that at all. I think we do that more.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Smith, it's kind of a shame that he suffered this injury here in the preseason because prior to that, he was actually showing some signs of promise. Now, I think that he's going to make the team because it's hard to give up on a guy, going into his second year. He's a guy that obviously struggled heavily in his first season here in Philadelphia, but I think that you got to give him a chance this year to, show what he has, especially since he showed signs in the preseason that he could maybe do something. So, I think that they're definitely going to keep Marcus Smith on the roster.
Yeah, I don't see how you can cut him. You can't just give up on him already as a first-round pick. You just can't do it. I don't think so. All right, let's see. Jeremy had the four guys that we have at outside linebacker. So no need to mention inside linebacker. Obviously you got Kiko Alonso, Kendricks, Ryans. I've got Brad Jones, Jordan Hicks. Those are my 5 inside.
Yeah, those. I mean, that would be sad to see Najee Goode go because he's good. It's just like running back. We have so many inside linebackers, but. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jordan Hicks, he's going to learn from Kiko Alonso. He's going to learn from D'Amico Ryans. Heck, even Kendricks with his experience. So I think Hicks can be a good developmental player for us. Brad Jones, an experienced veteran. And, unfortunately, Najee Goode's just the odd man out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got the same thing there. So.
Yeah, Jeremy's got the same thing. Just to touch on this really quickly, it's a shame that there's so much depth at linebacker. These guys are more outside, but I think Dahiem Watkins has really flashed during the preseason. There's just nowhere to put him, unfortunately. But he's the guy that really stood out to me.
And Deontay Skinner, that guy we got from the Patriots, we're going to see him play against the Jets. He may be better than Brad Jones. I don't know. I haven't seen him play, but we'll definitely get a chance to see that. I guess that's why we do 4 preseason games.
Yeah, we may be doing these projections too early.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, Skinner's the guy that definitely keep an eye on tonight because I'm sure he'll be out there making plays. He's been making plays in the preseason so far, especially the last game. So he's a guy to watch out for tonight.
But he's not a Patrick Chung where he only succeeds with the Patriots. I was hyped when we signed him. I thought Patrick Chung it's like, good grief, we got rid of Kurt Coleman. Now we got Chung. I thought that was going to be better, but it ended up being like 5 times worse.
Oh, boy, he was awful, man. Oh, let's not even bring up his name. Because it makes me really, really jealous that he goes back to New England and he wins a Super Bowl. It's awful. Patrick Chung. Mike, we won't bring up the story at work, but there was a coworker. Oh, yeah, Patrick Chung, he's a good player. You wanted to slap him.
This secondary at one point had Patrick Chung, Nate Allen, and Bradley Fletcher.
But you know what? That's still better than Dallas' secondary this year.
Oh, my God.
All right, let's get to quarterbacks. Byron Maxwell, Nolan Carroll, Eric Rowe, those guys are locked. I think Jalen Watkins is pretty safe, too. but we'll get to you guys in a second. So the fifth guy comes down to me at least to Randall Evans and EJ Biggers. If it were me, I don't want EJ Biggers anywhere near this team. I think he stinks. He's awful. He can't cover. He can't do anything. He looked good the first 2 games, and then his true colors came out. So I am putting Randall Evans on this team, even though Biggers is probably going to make it.
Randall Evans got an interception, so at least he has some production. I totally agree. I was on the EJ Biggers bandwagon the first 2 games. I was like, wow, this guy's athletic. He can cover one-on-one. Until I saw him cover Green Bay's 5th stringers and get absolutely tossed around with a face mask. No.
No more EJ. He's gone. He cut.
Yeah, this is a one where I kind of went back and forth, and I actually kept Biggers. I went with Biggers and Watkins because I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to end up putting Evans on the practice squad. I think it's going to be a similar situation to what they did with Ed Reynolds. They put him on the practice squad last year, so I think that's just going to happen with Evans this year. I think that they're going to like Biggers, for his veteran presence. Evans, obviously, a late round pick. They're really going to try to develop him, so he's going to have to be a practice squad guy, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, he's from Washington, EJ Biggers, so that's why he stinks.
Biggers and his veteran presence of teaching you how to get turned around like a top.
Yeah.
Spun around like a merry-go-round.
Well, let's hope that we don't have to see much of Biggers. I'm really hoping that Watkins can make the jump here because I would definitely prefer him over Biggers. I initially thought when we signed Biggers that if we ever got into a situation where he was on the playing field, then we would be in major trouble, and that's probably still the case. So hopefully we see a lot more Watkins over him.
What I like about the secondary, I think that the most underrated move the Eagles made this season was signing Corey Undlin as the secondary's coach. By far, I mean, and instead of these big passing plays we're giving up, I would rather give up like 10-yard pass, 10-yard pass, 10-yard pass than give these long bombs. I just think the secondary is just so much improved just with him alone as the secondary's coach. I mean, I heard stories that like Billy Davis had to come in and teach the secondary because Lovett wasn't doing his job.
Yeah.
So that's just something to point that out there. I think our secondary will be much improved with the coach.
That's something we've been saying. Out of all the moves we've made during the offseason, the best one might actually end up being the hiring of Unlin. And you could even tell already with the fundamentals, we're more aggressive with our press, the line of scrimmage. We're seeing better technique. The guys are actually turning and looking for the ball now.
Yeah.
So it's dramatic improvements there.
Yeah, no, big time. Udlin is going to be really a big difference maker. You can see it in the preseason already. Just the different technique, like you said, actually looking for the ball and doing their jobs like cornerbacks are supposed to do. So it's nice to see that we have a defensive backs coach in here that is actually focusing on the technique.
Yeah. Speed, you got any more quick thoughts on that?
I think it's just going to like the slot corner position. I think depending on the teams we play, because some teams have 2 big receivers, and we may have to consider sliding Eric Rowe to the outside for size mismatches. Just want to put that out there. And put Nolan Carroll, a more speedy guy in the slot.
Yeah, they actually experimented with that last game. They had Rowe outside in nickel packages and Carroll inside.
Yeah, because when we play Arizona against Fitzgerald, Michael Floyd, I'd rather have Maxwell and Rowe on the outside and have Nolan Carroll cover John Brown so he doesn't beat us for 60 yards in the last second.
Yeah, those are some great points there, and I really think that you're going to see a lot of Rowe on the outside. They've tried to experiment with Rowe on the inside, and that experiment has failed pretty bad. So I think they've come to their senses that Rowe is going to have to, start his NFL career here on the outside.
Yeah, I don't really see Rowe as a slot guy. I think he's an outside guy, and he'll be a guy that you bring along slowly as the season goes on. Maybe he starts by the end of the year, but I don't see him starting right now. Carroll's definitely that guy, but that's a good point though. I wouldn't mind that. If you go nickel and you have Carroll in there inside, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the safeties. Jeremy, he had Randall Evans on his team. He was with me on the bigger situation. He doesn't want him anywhere near our roster. but the thing is with the practice squad, you get 10 guys. 8 of them have to have a year or less experience, and then you got 2 slots where I think it's 2 years or less. So Biggers would not be practice squad eligible. So that's where Mike's point makes a lot of sense of keeping him. But I just think he's so bad that I just don't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean they've got a decision to make there. Whatever one they make, I mean I don't think it's really going to hurt them either way. We're talking about Biggers and a rookie here in Evans, who's a late round pick, so it really won't matter that much in the long run.
I would take Ifani Moma at corner over E.J. Biggers.
Ifani Moma is a tight end now.
Because at least Ifani Moma would look for the ball and swat it down. And he's 6'8".
When I saw Biggers, the play last week, where I think the one pass was uncatchable near the sideline. All he had to do was turn around and look for the ball. And he panics and he just grabs the receiver just unnecessarily. That's when I was like, "You're cut. You're gone. Bye."
Gone.
That I gave up after that. All right, safeties: Malcolm Jenkins, Walter Thurman, or locks. Chris Prozinski and Maragos are probably going to make the team too because they're special teams guys. So that really leaves only one spot, and to me, it's between Ed Reynolds and Jerome Copeland. And, I think Copeland is the better safety, but Reynolds might actually fit the scheme more because he's better in coverage. Because Copeland is, like a run-stuffing kind of safety, takes good angles to the ball, at least from what I've seen. I would take Copeland. I kind of like him a little bit, but, either way is fine with me. Jeremy took Copeland.
I think Copeland is going to be maybe, I wasn't high on Landon Collins at all coming out of the draft. I thought he couldn't cover. I think he's a sloth. He may be able to tackle, but, like you said, I totally agree. Schematically, Ed Reynolds is the ball hawk. He was known for that at Stanford. And, Jerome Coughlin, don't get me wrong, he's a run stuffer, but I think we just have a good enough front seven that we could just have 2 coverage safeties back there.
Yeah, agreed. That's why I went with Ed Reynolds over Copeland. For that reason, I feel that Reynolds fits his scheme better, so I think they're going to end up going with him. It's a shame with Copeland because he really got stepped back a lot with that appendectomy. We really, we don't know. Maybe he would have showed some things if he didn't have that. But it's hard because they really don't have much tape on him here during the preseason. And obviously with Reynolds, he did have those 2 picks in that first preseason game. So, and like I mentioned before, he was on the practice squad last year. So I think that they're going to go with Reynolds, but, it could go either way, but I'm going to pick Reynolds. Yeah.
I just have a hard-on for Copeland. I'm a big fan. So that's what it is. That's why I'm pretty much picking him. Reynolds is definitely the better fit for the scheme.
Yeah.
Agreed there. All right, so that's pretty much everybody. John Dornbos is going to be our long snapper. Cody Parker is going to be our kicker. Donnie Jones, he's going to be our punter. So those are our 53-man rosters. Eagle Speed, Mike Owens, I'm Adrian Bedque, and those are our teams. Maybe I guess I could put them in the description box below who we all got, maybe, but that's a lot of work.
We pretty much picked all the same guys. The only ones that we had a discrepancy on were really, Yeah, exactly. I mean, Biggers and then the Copeland and Ed Reynolds decision, but besides that, I mean, those are very minor, considering that we pretty much agreed almost completely on our 53-man roster here.
Yeah, and a little bit of discrepancy too with the offensive line. It really depends on whether or not you want to give up on Moffitt or not, and that's really what it is there. So yeah, pretty much very very similar.
Yeah, if this team keeps two quarterbacks, I mean, who's the guy that's going to be worth keeping on the team? E.J. Biggers?
Oh,
That's why that two quarterback argument is stupid. Because, I mean, like, who else is going to be on the team that's worth giving up a quarterback for?
I mean, unless you keep like Deontay Skinner or Dahiem Watkins, those are I don't see who else you can keep.
Or one of the receivers.
Yeah, but you can't go. You just can't do it. Not with this team. If you had Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or like Andrew Luck or something, maybe I'd consider it. But with Sam Bradford's injury history again, you just can't. You can't do it. You can't. So, yeah, there's that. All right. Normally at the end of our shows, we do a final thought segment where you just kind of basically say whatever's on your mind to kind of conclude the show. So, Eagle Speed, we'll start with you. Any final thoughts on what we talked about today?
I think we just covered everything. I mean, I'm excited for the season to come up. I'm glad that this team is under the radar and coming up because ESPN First Take, they've just been high on the Cowboys, and I think this team has potential to surprise a lot of people. The front seven will make teams one-dimensional, and that'll help our secondary. And if Sam Bradford could even play half the way he did against Green Bay, that's okay because this run game is going to be insane.
Great. Agree with everything.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, well, my final thoughts are, here we are, the fourth and final preseason game. Really, the most meaningless one that not many people care about. This is where all the people really around the country now get to go, put on their Tim Tebow Florida jerseys, and they get to watch a second half tonight and cheer for Tebow. So the game is on NFL Network, so everyone around the country will be seeing it. And, well, there's not much else to talk about tonight except the battle between Barkley and Tebow.
I mean, if we kept Team Tebow, Jeffrey Lurie's going to have Mr. Moneybags, and he's going to have cash stuffed in his pocket. So he may force Chip to keep him on the team. He wants that cash, those jersey sales, ticket sales, and everything.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yo, but we'll all still be watching all four quarters. There's no doubt. We'll be watching.
I'll watch, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll watch. Absolutely. Yeah, Kiko Alonso was playing too, so that's like the one thing I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to. Finally getting to watch him play. He's going to be a favorite. What's that?
He's going to shred the backups.
It's not going to be fair. He's playing against Pop Warner people.
Yeah, the fifth quarter.
Oh, it's not fair. You got like a top 10 linebacker in the game going against like college players.
Put DeMarco Murray out there.
Oh boy, oh man, it should be fun though tonight. It's not like your normal fourth preseason game. Get to see Alonso play a little bit, so that should be a lot of fun. But with that being said, we all got our final thoughts out there. Great show today. Eagle Speed, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have you on. Maybe we could do this another time, in the future. Maybe I can come on your channel one time. I don't know if we could work things out. But coming on.
We could try and get other YouTubers on here, too. I mean, that'd be fun to do.
Yeah, get like a huge Google Hangouts going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said before, the Real Chip TV guys, we might try to get them on for a huge season preview. If you want to get in on that,
Yeah,
on
I'm
again.
definitely down. Totally.
Yeah, so dude, that would be great. We're gonna have 6 people on a preview show. It might be a clusterfuck, but
Yeah.
well, we'll see how it goes. You got to try it out at least. So, I mean, that'd be really cool. Get six guys, 6 different opinions on here. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna end this show now. With that being said, Eagle Speed, Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Bedque. Go Birds! And
Yeah.
well, we're almost there. Got a week and a half to go.
Yep, almost there.
Later, guys.
Later.